Good evening, race fans, and welcome back to coverage of round 2 of the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. With thanks to Get Dirty MX Track Racer, thank you for letting us making this possible for us. We're back here at Watkins Glen. I'm Leo Gray, and welcome back, Brooksy. It's been a great development series race. What do you reckon we'll see in the main one?
Oh, we're going to see fireworks for sure, Leo. This track always provides terrific racing, as we saw, and yeah, it's going to be on. These guys are hungry as to take out this first little title we got running, so yeah, there's going to be fireworks.
If you're just joining us, I hope you go back and watch that development series race that we just broadcast, because that was an exciting one. 25 laps around here was what you just witnessed for the second split, and we'll have 52 laps this time for the top runners. It's going to be a new night, a new experience for these guys, because of course we're going to have double pit stops. There'll be 2 stops tonight, something new for all of our drivers, and our pit reporter is going to be very busy when he gets his work on. I think that we've got Reese with us at the moment. Are you there, Reese?
Yeah, I am here, Leo. I've literally just walked in the door from a 2.5-hour car ride, so I'm completely stuffed, but we got a broadcast to do, haven't we? And I really enjoy these broadcasts.
Absolutely, mate. You're going to have your work cut out for you, because it's going to be a busy one tonight, understanding that the drivers aren't going to have enough range on the tank to make it on a single stop. They're going to see a 2-stop strategy from everybody out there, which is going to be a new one for you to handle.
Well, very interesting. Well, the more stops, the better, in my opinion. More drama, more stuff to glean off people. It's certainly going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you are too.
Oh, we most certainly are, Reese.
Take this opportunity to run through the grid that will be making up the top split here tonight. They're on a warm-up at the moment. That's got about 10 minutes left, and there's some pretty fast times in this at the moment. But we're going to have a qualifying session, 30 minutes all in, to set the grid for this main race for tonight. But the field, it's a big one, and there's some big names through it. Just to run through the drivers that are starting in numerical order, making the top 40, we got Josh Burden, Damien Butler, Matthew Hill, Rod Denyer, Ian Ford, Lee Ellis, Bo Cattell, Chris Dickinson, Michael Fulcher, and Richard Hampstead, who was the provisional pole sitter for this event.
Yeah, we've also got Stephen Clark, Jake Burton, Nigel Baines, John Latham, Mitchell McLeod, Kurt Stenberg, and Henry King and Dean O'Brien as well.
Also going to see Jason Dixon, Madison Down, who was the pole sitter and race winner at Circuit of America's last time out. Sean Kelly, Lance Perkins, Corey Preston, Timothy Jackson, Tobias Cerny, and Chad Chastain.
And I'm sorry, I've lost my list.
We've also then got, rounding out the field, Martin Carroll, Aaron Hamilton, Tony Autridge, Philip Johansson, Chris Hogan, who was actually scheduled to be the pole sitter for the Dev race, but was called up to fill in a spot, Greg Sharp, James McKnight, Scott Tate, Joshua Beecroft, Jared Filsell, and Bobby Jovanovic. So, an all-star field. It's a big list of drivers and some very, very fast times that we've seen set, because pole position, or provisional pole position for the week, which was owned by Richard Hampstead, that was a 1 minute 8.445, and we were just talking about a race where people were doing 12s.
Yeah, it's a very quick time from Richard Hampstead to get that provisional pole. It was 1.5 tenths quicker than teammate Matthew Hill, and considering the whole field's only separated by a second, for him to be 1.5 tenths in front of everyone at the moment, that's a huge margin.
And on that, looking at the practice times for the event so far, there's about 5 minutes left in that. Richard Hampstead, once again, about a tenth and a half up on P2. That's Jared Filsell in second. Hampstead's on a 10.13, Filsell on a 10.37. But look at how close the times are for everyone else there, because you've got McLeod at a 3.7, McKnight on a 4 flat, Hill on a 4.3, Kelly on a 4.6, 5, a 5.5, 5, 6, 6, 6, 6, 7. It just goes on from there. Everyone is super close, but Hampstead looks like he's just found that little bit of something to help him out.
Yeah, he certainly got the car dialed in, especially for qualifying. Some of the names down the list too. Lee Ellis in a 10.8, so he's usually one of the guys up the front.
See how drivers are preparing for this event, because of course you're going to need race pace. Might have that one lap flyer, but as we saw in the dev race, you can come from back in the field and make ground up, because our podium places, race winner came from 3rd on the grid, 2nd from 9th, and 3rd from all the way back in 14th. So the way this place runs, you've got a lot of slipstreaming, a lot of passing, but you're also going to have to look after the tyres, because we saw already tonight that you're going to have to make sure that you keep the rubber under you, make sure that you're not burning those tyres up early in the run, otherwise you're going to be mincemeat later on in the game. I think that to come out on top tonight, it's going to take a cool head, because you're going to be around cars all the time. That's pretty well a given at this place. A lot of patience too, and just make sure you pull the right moves at the right time, keep yourself out of trouble. It all sounds easy when we put it that way, but we know it isn't, because you've got 39 other guys out there trying to do the exact same thing with you. Looks like all the drivers at the moment are running, well, the majority of them are running practice qualifying runs. Seeing a lot of guys that are going out for a flyer, pushing really hard because there's a lot of mistakes being made. Just trying to pull any sort of advantage they can as they head into this qualifying.
Just noticing there's a couple of drivers out on track that weren't scheduled to race tonight, so I'm not sure if race control's let them in for some that are pulled out maybe.
Yeah, an interesting thing to see what happens with that one. We'll have to monitor and keep you posted as to how that goes. Through the times there, you're right, there's a couple of guys that are a bit further back.
We've only got 2.5 minutes till qualifying's about to start. Guys will be making those last little setup changes to the cars. We've lost Leo out of the commentary box for a moment. I'm sure he'll be back. Have you got any word, Reese, from pit lane on strategy?
I am looking at the information in front of me right now, and the teams are very, very quiet as usual. I mean, the level of competition in this series means that a lot of teams are very secretive about their strategies, and a lot of what I bring to you is basically scraped together from what I can get, but TTR Spy Guy has been in contact with me and did say that Kurt Stenberg of Sim Instruments Motorsports did tell them that he was going to maybe make up a few things during the race, so I'm not too sure of what's going to be true and what isn't.
Yeah, it's a bit hard. There could be some porcupines thrown out there to throw other teams off, because of course all spotters would be listening in.
Oh, certainly, yeah. Lots of porkies, but I don't know. To me, that sort of improves the show because it adds yet another element of mystery to what's happening.
It certainly does.
Like Leo was back in the commentary box.
Yeah. Apologies for the technical dramas there. But we're back, and we're back in time for qualifying. I was just about to say there'll be no mysteries once this 30-minute qual session is complete, because this is it. This is your chance to shine, your chance to mark your spot on the grid. to fight for pole position here tonight, and we've got a lot of drivers that are going to be very hungry for that.
Have we got a tip for pole, Leo?
Oh, gee, how do you tip that? Hampstead, Hampstead on form, because he's had two qualifying and a practice session where he's been a tenth and a half up on everybody else. But it's going to come down to traffic. It's going to come down to whether you've got a clear spot on the grid and how it's all going to work out from there. Whether your teammates are around to help you out too, that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, coordinating your teammates is going to be quite difficult with this amount of cars on the track.
We saw it was a mad scramble, a traffic jam at Circuit of the Americas a couple of weeks ago. Not much real estate at Watkins Glen, so be a premium to find a clean spot on the track. You know, you might think that you'll settle yourself up nice and tight behind another guy to get a bit of a draft, but if he balks you into a corner, it's all for nothing.
Yeah, of course, we've got 3 TTR cars out the front in Kurt Stenberg, Lee Ellis and Stephen Clark. So they'll have clear track and first go at pole position.
Already we're seeing that teammates, they're playing the game, they're getting involved in it. I think they feel that's the only way you're going to assure yourself of a solid time. Get yourself out there. There's just cars everywhere. Guys on their warm-up laps are going to want to make sure they don't get in the way of the faster traffic too. You're heading down the back straight, down the last 2 turns. It's like rush hour out there.
It is, isn't it?
But that's what happens when you try to fit 40 cars onto a track like this. They'll sort themselves out, and that's just what they got to manage with.
We've still got cars around the bus stop. We've got the 2 tag pest management cars. They've gone out last of everyone. I just hope the guys coming around on their fast laps don't catch them. We've got Sandman Clark. He's on his first fast lap. He's just headed through the bus stop now. We're 27.7 for the first sectors. Not a bad sector time.
It'll be interesting to compare the lap times based upon those that have a draft and those that don't. Sandman managed a 10.9 in this warm-up session. He's going to cross the line and be the first one set a qualifying time, and it's an 11.6. That'll open the batting, Sandman Clark. Lee Ellis jumps immediately to pole with a 10.8. And we already see drivers crossing and completing times.
It's not a bad banker there from Lee Ellis, putting in a 10.8. We got Mitchell McLeod with a 10.5.
And Chastain have jumped him, yeah.
Yeah.
Chastain went to a 10.8, and Hampstead to the top with a 10.3. McKnight as well. James McKnight has been showing pace at Watkins Glen here. McKnight to second with a 10.4. Madison down to P4. 10.7, so already we've seen people trying to get bankers in, trying to set fast times early on. Hampstead and McKnight are right on the pace. Looking at the times from those practice sessions, we can expect a very low 10 for a pole position. Wondering if anyone will break into the 9s. See what happens out there.
Jared Philsall goes up into 4th with a 10.6. And it looks like those 2 ANZ cars are going to continue on for another lap together.
That's Philsall, and who's he got behind him there? That's Bo Cattell. Cattell's in 13th at the moment. 11.1 second lap for Bo Cattell. Interesting to see if that slipstream from his teammate makes any sort of a difference.
The guys obviously think the tyres are good for at least 2 laps.
That was one thing I was wondering about, whether you'd see drivers in and out of the pits constantly. Remembering, of course, same rules as last week. You can't be John Latham to pole position. Sorry, 10-2 for John Latham. Where'd he pull that one from?
It's a terrific
Very
lap,
quick
and
time.
at the moment it's a TTL lockout on the front row.
Now, just to go back to those ANZ cars, they were straight back into the pits. It was just a quick in-lap. Was going to touch on same rules as last week. There's no just pulling over right off the start-finish line and magically teleporting yourself back into the pit lane. Got to cycle back around on those tyres, come back into the pits, change them in your pit box, and back out you go. That's where traffic is going to be important. We're seeing drivers trying to find space to make their hot laps, to not balk other drivers. And of course the officials, if they catch you holding up a fast driver, getting in the way of somebody else, playing any sort of games like that, see yourself being sat out for the rest of the session.
Yeah, cool. We've got a full team of admin over this, seeing every aspect of this race tonight. Once again, quite a few penalties handed out in that first development race we saw, and I'm sure they'll won't be afraid to hand some out in this race too if we've any indiscretions. So I've seen Jake Burton. He's tucked up behind Richard Hampstead.
So Hampstead, of course, P2, Jake Burton, P10 at the moment. And this will be starting a flying lap for these two drivers. So we might just try and stick with these two and see what happens from here. Chasing a pole position of a 1 minute 10.27 held by John Latham. Gap that Hampstead's got to make is just barely 0.03 of a second. How's that for close?
Oh, he was very committed there on the exit of the bus stop. The car stepped sideways on him.
Tricky line to walk. Hampstead lets the tail slide out. Maybe grabbed a bit of grass there exiting the carousel. They're going to continue on though. Oh, there's a car at the apex of the next turn. Hopefully that doesn't hurt him any. Out of the way, didn't catch who it was.
Mitchell McLeod, he did his best to get out of the way. Hampstead
must have grabbed the, he must have caught the grass there. Burton's going to continue on. Burton's lap, it's going to be a 10.78, so he's jumped himself. He gained 2 tenths, and that's bumped him up to 10th from 12th. Still got 22 minutes remaining in the session, so a lot of time for drivers to get out there and find themselves a bit of real estate, find themselves a fast time. Running through the top 10 at the moment, it's John Latham from Richard Hampstead, Lee Ellis, James McKnight, Mitch McLeod, Jared Philsell, Sean Kelly, Kurt Stenberg, Madison Down and Jake Burton. Now with that top 10, our race winner from last week, he hasn't really made the impact some people might have expected. Position 9 for Madison Down at the moment. He's crossing the line on a flyer, it looks like, and a 10.6.
Yeah, it's moved him up. Moved him up one spot. Yeah, one spot.
I know every single spot counts, but perhaps given Madison Down's form in these V8 supercars, of course, he won a huge number of championships in the official iRacing series. Some people might have expected him to be a bit closer to the pointy end than that, but I guess it also shows just how deep this field is, because his time there at 10.698, there is nothing separating him from the cars around him. That was 2 thousandths of a second better than Kurt Stenberg's time. 10.698 for Down, 10.7 flat for Stenberg, so you cannot get any closer than that.
Just looking around the track, there's plenty of teammates working together. That draft very important here.
Matthew Hills jumped up into 8th place.
Yeah, it's a good lap from Matty Hill, a 10.623. Still 3.5 tenths off his teammate John Latham. Still in pole position.
And our pole sitter John Latham is back out on the track. He's done another flyer. It's a 10.3 that Latham's done, so Latham is well on the pace. Super consistent with his lap times, but no one's been able to top that 10.27 that he has set as the benchmark. Richard Hampstead still the closest, followed by Lee Ellis, James McKnight and Mitch McLeod, the top 5. Keep an eye on the current second place man, Richard Hampstead. 10.266. He's to the top. Richard Hampstead to pole position. And barely anything between him and John Latham. It's a 10.267 and a 10.274 for John Latham. So Richard Hampstead has taken over the point again. He was fastest in pre-qualifying, fastest in the warm-up session tonight. Richard Hampstead.
That's crazy how close those times are, Leah. That is what a thickness of a hair around the track this size.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Kelly, it's also interesting to note the lap times are a little bit down compared to what they were in the warm-up. We can put that down to the weather conditions. It's 24 degrees out there at Watkins Glen, but there's a 10-kilometre wind that's running a northerly wind, so no doubt that's going to have an impact on the drivers in one way or another. They might be gaining a bit of time down one straight and losing it down the next, but those are all things that you're going to have to cater for and manage around in this online Premier Series. We want to keep the drivers on their toes, and it seems like we're doing exactly that.
Got Lee Ellis on a flyer. He's currently in third. He's just a 10th off Richard Hampstead, who's got pole position.
Oh, a lot of traffic out there. Ellis looks like he'll have a clear run to the line though. Big slide on the second final turn. And into the pits he goes. Must have had a bit of an error out there. You need to be super consistent and super safe on this qualifying run, because if you get any sort of off track, if you cut the grass, if you have any sort of error like that, it's going to void your time. So the times that we're seeing up the top, they are 100% pure. No shortcutting, no cutting the track, no anything like that at all. And to set a marker there of that 10-minute 2.7 that Richard Hampstead did, that's very impressive.
James McKnight is really impressed, still sitting in 5th spot with a 10.467.
Absolutely, that was the other thing with this Dev Series and online Premier Series setup, is it gives anybody the opportunity to jump in, get about I rating, and just get there and prove your speed. And McKnight, he's no slouch out there. He's been incredibly quick. 5th place on the grid. Also just shows the tightness of the times, because we go through. It's a 10.2, 10.26 pole, 10.27 for second, 10.3 for third, 10.4, 10.4. You got 2 drivers on 5s, another 2 on 6s, 3 drivers on a 10.7. I look back there, it's the top 25 drivers. Sorry, top 27 drivers are within 1 second of each other. And there's still 16 minutes to go in the session. So a lot of time for you to make some ground up, to find any sort of advantage, any sort of extra benefit that you can get. So this session is not over for a long shot. Now we might have a bit of a watch of Richard Hampstead, who is our current pole sitter, but we have a bit of an onboard ride with Hampstead to see how it's done around Watkins Glen International. Downhill run into this first turn makes it very tricky under braking. There's a lot of runoff you can use off to the left, and this takes us to his famous S's section. It's wide enough for you to go side by side, but you probably don't want to do that in the race. See that wall on the right? It comes up very quick. And now we've got this long, fast back straight. Speed still climbing. We're at 270 kilometers an hour as he hits the anchors. And this is the bus stop. The right, left, right as we go through this tight chicane. We saw action there in the Development Series race. Look for more there in the main race. This long corner is called the Carousel. Seems like it just goes on and on and on before you can finally pluck a gear and continue on down this third very fast straight. Last two corners on the track, they're very fast. There's a bit of banking in them, which is a bit unique and allows some very high corner speeds. Heading into the last turn now. Very easy to get this one wrong. Hampstead's going to pit from there, but that still gives you an idea of a lap around Watkins Glen.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He's the lap before that he improved, Leo. He's gone to a 10-1, so nearly a tenth in front of his teammate now, John Latham.
That is an impressive benchmark. Perhaps the conditions might be picking up a bit because that's matched the time that he did in the warm-up, that we had just before the qualifying session. That's a 10.18 for Richard Hampstead. I wonder if we'll see times drop from everybody else now. Chad Chastain has jumped up into third position. It's a very impressive marker for Chastain. It's a 10.35.
I got Madison down just starting a fast one. He's currently sitting in 10th spot on a 10.698.
See if Madison Down can get that ultimate karting Falcon up any further in the order. I just want to say after that top lap, you can see why the drivers love this place, can't you? It's fast, it's wide, it's flowing, and makes for great racing. I love the way the cars bounce through that bus stop like we see Madison Down doing right now.
First sector time was a 27.327, which is quite a fast first sector for him.
Two turns left to run now for Madison Down. We saw him snatch pole position at Circuit of the Americas. He's obviously going to want to go 2 for 2. Last turn now, using a little bit of the runoff there. Hopefully that doesn't hurt him. Hopefully that doesn't void his time either. He's going to cross the line. The 10.4, so he's jumped up to position number 7, has Madison Down. 10.48.
It's starting to really tighten up at the top now, Leo.
Absolutely. I think that perhaps it could be those conditions. Perhaps drivers are just settling in a bit more, tuning out the cars a bit, because if the weather's a bit different now compared to what it was in the practice and the warm-up there, might take drivers a little while to find those differences, tune them out of the cars, whether it be through air pressure or adjustments to the anti-roll bars and brake bias. Because of course you can do your anti-roll bars within the car, but you'll have to come into the pits if you've got your tyre pressures wrong. Probably what we're seeing a lot happening out there, because a lot of guys spending a bit of time in the pits just to get everything sorted the best that they can. How about Matthew Hill into position number 2? Matty Hill with a 10.244.
Wow, that's a fantastic time. Those 3 TTL cars covering the top 3 spots at the moment. Terrific effort from that team.
They are carrying some serious pace. Now, with the sheer amount of cars out there, apologies viewers, it's sometimes hard to pick up on exactly who's out on a flyer and who's setting the pace at the moment. We're doing our best, but as you can see for yourself, there's just so much action to follow. It's great to watch though, and seeing it's going to be a very, very tight fight for pole. Here's one of the TTR hybrid racing Falcons that we've got coming up through the S's. Oh! Clips the inside wall. That was a perfect example of how you can get it all wrong. Sean Kelly, hope we didn't put the mockers on you, mate, but he hits that inside wall hard. Unfortunate for Kelly, he is in the top 10. in the number 87 car. He's got a 10.59 as his best lap for the session. He's going to hurry back to pit lane as quickly as he can. Hope that he can get that forward patched up as quickly as possible.
Yeah, with 10 minutes remaining, time's running out for guys to set the lap they need to.
Now, one thing we haven't...
Sorry, I was going to say, Leo, I've got a couple of people who've been disqualified. I'm not sure what for, but Mitchell McLeod, one of the front runners in this series, he's been disqualified just by, from Simon Black.
Absolutely, I was just about to touch on that. I was going back through the replay to see if I could find if he maybe balked someone, what the problem was. Might be a bit tough to find. We might have to see if we can get a report for you before the race starts as to what happened there. But McLeod's time will stand. He still gets to keep that lap time. It's a 1 minute 10 seconds, .448, and he's currently in 6th position. See if we can get our pit reporter Reese Gardner onto that, see if we can shed a bit of light as to what happened there. But on to the current matters. There's 9 minutes and 20 seconds left in this session. So still enough time for you to get some flyers in. I think that everyone will have just set out there, try to figure out what moves they have to make, what adjustments they need to do, and on we go in what is going to be an intense fight for pole position.
Yeah, just having a look at Jake Burton's car. He collected the S's, and he's just managing to get that back to pit lane at the moment.
Just on the topic of traffic, I think that I'm going to have a check and see if I can find if Madison Down was on a flyer, but I think that Richard Hampstead has just balked Madison Down in a big way, entirely unintentional. But what I can see happening is that Hampstead was on an outlap. He tried to get out of the way by cutting the grass and the S's, and it damaged his car in a big way. And he's just been right in the way of Madison Down as Down came up through the S's. So we'll have to watch that one and see if that results in any sort of penalty or any sort of action from the stewards. But understanding, Reese, you've got some information about what's happened with Mitch McLeod and Nigel Baines for us.
Yeah, guys, I've just gotten on Jay Kennedy and gotten some information from the stewards as to those disqualifications. The reason has been stated as the drivers escaping back to pit lane when still on track. And of course, that is against the rules in the V8 Supercars Online Premier Series. You must return to the pit lane before escaping back to the garage. And McLeod and Baines did not do that, and that is the reason for their penalties.
Okay,
right.
Yeah.
So thanks for updating us with that bit of info there. What's up? What do you got, Brooksy?
I was just keeping an eye on Richard Hampstead with that damage. He was going to continue on and try and help teammate John Latham with a draft, but sorry, the damage was too much and he lost control of going up the S's, and that's both their laps been aborted.
Yeah, I'll be very interested to see what happened there. Yeah, what do you got, Reese?
Sorry for interrupting, Leo. Very sorry about that, but I have got an update from TTR Spy Guy as to Madison Down. He is apparently not very happy with his driving. The message that I received has a few words in it that I'm not allowed to repeat on the broadcast, but the general gist of it is that Madison is not happy with his driving right now.
Yeah, of course, Madison's sitting in 8th position on a 10.486.
Not normally the sort of position we expect seeing that ultimate karting Falcon in.
Yeah, certainly, and I have just been discussing that TTR is going to be going on the offensive, of course, and probably will be following TTL's lead in the pit stops if they are not leading themselves.
Right, very interesting. Any sort of heads up for us heading into the race about strategies or any sort of moves that we might see happening in the pits, Reese?
I have been trying to get some information, but of course a lot of teams are very limited with what they tell me, but I do know that the Sim Instruments Motorsport guys are planning to do a long first stint. That's all I can tell you right now.
That'll be very interesting given what happened in the dev race. Now we we run through now. I'm looking at Madison Down as he comes up through the S's. This will be a hot lap for Madison Down. This is the guy we were just talking about. Very interesting to see if he can pull any extra time out. If it's on the driver, of course, that's... well, he's the only one that can fix that problem. Heading through the bus stop section. Bouncing over those curbs that they do. And in this carousel, it's just waiting to be able to pick up the throttle. His car looks good. Doesn't look like he's having any sort of problems with the handling, but just the pace doesn't seem to be there.
Yeah, no, his car looks very planted. Just not able to get the lap speed out of it at the moment. But we know what fine racer is. He may have a very fast race car, so anything can happen. We saw Marty Atkins come from 9th on the grid to 2nd spot in that dev race, so anything can happen.
And there you go, it's a 10.285 for Madison Down, so a new fastest lap for Madison Down. 4th place on the grid for car number 77. So there you go, he'll be a bit happier with that, I'm sure. Still a little way to go for pole position. Now there is only 3 minutes and 48 seconds remaining in the session, so maybe 1 or 2 other little other sprints at the line to move yourself up if you can. Of course, you've got to get yourself back into the pits, an in lap and out lap. It's not easy out there. Talking about teamwork there, we've got a couple of the SDC Fords out. They were trying to work together to get a bit of a time, and of course as we focus on them into the pits they go. That was Marty Carroll, who's in 17th at the moment. Of course, 3 minutes left. Got Hampstead, Hill, Latham the top 3, Down, Ellis, Chastain, McLeod, Knight, Philsell and Kelly rounding out the top 10. There's a lot of guys trying to make their way in. It's very, very tight throughout the timesheets because you've got this entire field. Top 30 drivers are within 1 second of each other. Just spectacular.
It certainly is, as we're in for one hell of a race, Leo.
Absolutely. And we've got our P2 man at the moment, Matthew Hill. Looks like he's just beginning a flying lap in the number 10 Cask Falcon. He's got just the tiniest of margins he needs to make up to claim pole position back from his teammate. We've seen these TTL cars look very, very fast all week long. Thing is with Watkins Glen, because there's only 8 corners on the track, it's very hard to find a way to make any ground up. But it looks like they've definitely got something figured out at TTL. Hilly very hard over the curbs at the bus stop. I think that may have hurt him a little bit.
Yeah, he's certainly pushing it. He needs just over a 10th of a second to claim pole position off his teammate. Comes up on a heap of traffic.
I think that he had a bit of a wiggle on the exit of the bus stop, which probably hurt him enough to mean that this lap is done. It might just be a fast lap back into the pits because 1 minute and 25 seconds remaining. You can pit now and you'll probably make it out for one more flyer, which is exactly what Hilly's going to do. But if you're not out on track from right about now, I think that your session's over. So Hampstead still has pole position. He's bettered his marker, however. It was a 1 minute 10.18. It's now a 10.12. Somehow he's pulled something special out. Even if it is just the tiniest of differences. Very impressive from Richard Hampstead to find that much pace later on. He's going to pit. That's his best done. He can't go any longer, not have enough time to do any more laps. So Hampstead is going to have the pole position as things sit for the moment. Still 40 seconds left. Going to have to We have to see if there's anyone else who can take it from him. Madison Down on a flying lap, coming through the carousel in the Ultimate Karting Sydney Falcon. He's been finding time as this session's gone along, so very interesting to see if anything does happen. Madison Down, if he can improve on that 10.285 that he set, using all of the road and then some at the exit to the 7th turn. I think that may have cost him though into the pits. Madison Down is not going to improve.
But what he did do, he brought his teammate Damien Butler along, and he's jumped up into 13th spot with a 10.6. So it's a very good lap there from Damien Butler,
who's immediately displaced by Marty Carroll. So the checkered flag is out. You'll have the drivers on track completing their lap times. Just looking through it, we got Lee Ellis out there. Ellis is on a flyer. He's at the final turn. He's going to pit. A lot of guys in the pits who didn't make it out in time. Like we've also got Corey Preston, one of the Kamikaze Falcons. Preston's down in 28th place at the moment. He's going to try and improve his marker of an 11.0. He does just barely. He improved it by barely 1/100th of a second and jumped 3 positions. 3 positions that claimed him though.
Well done, Corey Preston.
Unbelievable stuff. Congratulations, buddy. That was impressive. Looks like everyone else is either wrapping up their laps or has already finished. We've got Henry King, I think, is the only other driver who's out there on a flyer right now.
No, I think he's just circulating. I don't think he made the checkered flag. Yeah.
So that is going to wrap up the session for us here tonight. We've got our grid. We've got everything set for round 2 of the V8 Supercar Online Premier Series. We've got a new pole sitter in Richard Hampstead. Matthew Hill's going to take the front row with him, and their teammate John Latham in position number 3. So it's going to be a big one for the TTL guys, and everyone else is going to see if they can chase them down.
Yeah, of course. And Madison Down got real close to him in 4th spot there. Really did find some pace at the back end of that session, did Madison. So he's certainly going to be putting a lot of pressure on those guys.
Absolutely. And running on from there through the qualifying results, Lee Ellis is in 5th, James McKnight 6th, Chad Chastain 7th, Mitch McLeod in 8th, followed by Jared Filsell and Sean Kelly, rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, and in 11th was Tony Ortridge, then followed by Dean O'Brien, Martin Carroll, Damien Butler, Kurt Stenberg in 15th, Nigel Baines 16th, Jake Burton, Michael Fulcher, Bobby Javenkovic and Ian Ford grabbed the 20th spot.
21st went to Joshua Burden, followed by Philip Johansson, Bo Cattell, Timothy Jackson, Aaron Hamilton, Corey Preston, who we saw move up 3 spots with the tiniest of improvements. Great job there, Corey. Tobias Cerny, Greg Sharp, Jason Dixon, and Stephen Clark rounding out the 30.
And then you're followed by Henry King, Joshua Beecroft, Chris Dickinson, Scott Tate, Lance Perkins, and Chris Hogan in 36th spot was the last driver to lay a time down.
That's going to set our field. We've got everything set and ready to go for 52 laps at Watkins Glen at the Cup Circuit. It's going to be an exciting event. We can't wait for it to start. We're going to take a short break, recharge your batteries, fill up your gas tank, and get yourself ready. We'll be back in about 5 minutes' time, and we're going to go racing at Watkins Glen. Hope you're looking forward to it like we are, and we'll see you shortly. Even though